Hey everyone, welcome back to M&R Show. I'm Ron.
I'm Malcolm.
And today we're going to be giving our reaction on the 76ers. A lot of controversy. James Harden, Joel Embiid, 2 games, 2 wins. See us back after the intro.
Man, we got to see if this is an overreaction just off 2 games, or is it really true about this team really being a favorite in the East? Let's find out later. We're going to find that out soon. Hey man, Ron. First, let's start off. I just had a long weekend, so let's get this off right. A long weekend, let's put it away.
Yes.
In South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
But let's just talk about this team. I understand that people are talking about these 2 game periods of what we see of James Harden and Joel Embiid. Are they the favorite in the East? I kind of like this team. I like what's going on so far. I like this Joel Embiid and the James Harden connection. I like the chemistry that's been going on. But at the end of the day, we're talking about the favorite in the East, or we're talking about in the playoffs. And I think that you have 2 of the worst people in the playoffs is the coach and the person who's supposed to be your lead guard, and that's James Harden and Doc Rivers. And for those 2, I'm not saying that they're going to be the favorites in the East, because you still have Milwaukee. You still have a healthy Brooklyn Nets team that's able to do some damage. And let's not sleep on Miami. Yeah. I know. That's another talk for another day of when they can be healthy. But we know when they are healthy and when Kyrie can play, that this team is dangerous, and this team is one of the top teams in the East. And what about you?
Yeah, I mean, right now I think they're up there. To me, they're probably gonna be my pick by the time of the playoffs, unless something crazy happens. That's where I'm leaning by the start of the playoffs. I like what they're doing. The odds are definitely stacked against me. We have Doc Rivers I have on my team. We have Harden I have on my team, and we have Embiid I have on my team, and Tobias Harris. These are all players that have all historically not done well. I'm not gonna say Harden. I mean, the man's gone to the conference championship basically every year he's played. But besides the conference championship, in the conference championship, he hasn't been able to play to his full potential. Embiid has just not played really well in the playoffs. He can't stay on the court because of health. Now, last year, what was that, 2 years ago against Boston, he had the high numbers, but like, who cares? They got swept. So it's like, what are we doing here? So I'm
still last year too. So let's give him benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, like he has high numbers, but like you're getting swept. Like you can't get a game or 2. Like I don't know. It's been all sweeps, legitimate sweeps for Embiid. Now Ben Simmons is gone, so hopefully that's changed. But I mean, fun fact. I mean, Embiid and Harden have shot 59 free throw attempts in the first 2 games together. So maybe that's a recipe for success.
Hey, if the game starts getting slower in the playoffs, so that's one thing we can look for is with James Harden and Joel Embiid. I think the most important things about the surrounding talent, like Tyrese Maxey has been looking like their 3rd best star, but I think Tobias Harris is one of the underrated type of players, because if he can play good, this team will be really dangerous. The team will be really dangerous. But if we revert to playoff Doc Rivers and playoff Harden, and we talk about Joel Embiid, I really think that Joel Embiid does a very good job in the playoffs. I think the only times that we say that he hasn't been a good job is when he has injuries. But at the end of the day, we've seen what he did with Atlanta, how he was able to dominate with a torn, basically a torn MCL or meniscus or whatever he has.
Yeah.
He was able to be able to dominate. I think that's one thing you have to do. And when you add that with a guy like James Harden, someone who's not afraid to shoot the ball and who's not afraid to shoot free throws, it can make this team dangerous. But when you have a guy like Doc Rivers, who's completely shown over and over again to mess up in the playoffs, when he's been around talented teams, I think that will be a problem, because at the end of the day, you can go as far as your star player and your coach. And I think that's one thing we're going to look at is Doc Rivers.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, well, for one, I mean, Harden allegedly had a hamstring and a hand injury. He looks pretty good to me the last 2 games. I mean, they claimed the man was hurt. The man's looked good. They say he was overweight. He's looked pretty good to me. I mean, both games he's been efficient. He's had over 10 assists in each game. He had a triple-double his last game. Not saying he doesn't always start strong, just because he usually does. But right now, him and Embiid just seem doubted in me. Like there's been 2 separate videos of them practicing the step back. Embiid's actually pulled it out in the game, so it's not just for practice, unlike Ben Simmons' threes. So like, I don't know, the chemistry just seems good. I think now they have had problems, but usually if they can get some type of chemistry going by the playoffs, which is going to be hard because I think it's less than 30 games left. So if they can, I think they can make a run, especially if some injuries happen like last year.
They need Tobias Harris to get on track because Tobias Harris has been struggling the last 2 games since James Harden's been on the game. Since James Harden's been on the team. So that's one thing we have to monitor. I understand it's 2 games, but if we overreact to what Tobias Harris is going on, we can overreact to what James Harden and Joel Embiid has going on right now. So we got to see all those things. And as you know, the playoffs is a whole different season. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah, and with Tobias, like I'm worried about Tobias, but then I'm not, because like if he was making $10 million per year, I wouldn't care. Like it wouldn't even matter. He's a starter. Like, he's a starter, period. Like, he's a starting level NBA player. Okay. It's just that his cap number makes you think he's better than he is. He's just a starter. He's not an all-star. He won't be. He never will be all-star. It's not even his potential. But it's like he's not even the third best player on this team is Tyrese Maxey. It's not even Tobias Harris. He should not be taking the most shots. Those are the games you lose. And when he thinks he should be taking 12 shots, are the games you lose. I want Maxey, who, by the way, has been even better than I thought in the first 2 games. I thought Harden was going to take away from him. That was our question on our original podcast. Maxey's been like a dog. Like, he's going like scary mode, like how Kyrie was playing when he was next to Harden. Like, I can just score the ball. I don't have to pass unless like basically I'm being doubled in the lane. I want Maxey being that third option and possibly even your second scoring option if Harden is taking on more of a playmaking load.
Tyrese Maxey he's really good, and I think that he has really tried to make his case as a third star. But let's not forget that Tobias Harris was averaging almost 20 a game this season, and he was averaging like almost 18, 19 a game last season. Let's not forget how good Tobias Harris can be. I understand that he's not the all-star player we're looking for, but I never said that Tobias Harris was a superstar player. I think that he's best fit as a third star, and I think that he will be a best fit around with James Harden and Joel Embiid because he can fit back to his position as being a third star. And I think that's where Tobias can succeed at, in which he has done in previous seasons with Philadelphia.
Yeah, and one of my last things, we also have just the importance of Thibault and Danny Green and those type of guys on this team. At the end of the day, we know to win a championship, you need star players, but you need role players to play good. Danny Green has been one of the biggest like wishy-washy role players in NBA history, where he's had the most threes ever in the finals, but then he goes in with the Lakers and just can't hit a door. So hopefully they get the best of Danny Green, and Thibault has to be able to score better. He just has to. Defensively, A+, but he has to be able to score better.
We need that green bean Danny Green, not that no bean Danny Bean, because it has to hit the greens, because at the end of the day, Danny Green has not been hitting the green light. No green light.
That's not.
None of the, what was it? The 2K with the green. He hasn't been hitting it.
He hasn't.
It's been
red bar.
Yeah, it's been red bar. It's Danny Red. Danny Red. That's what
Danny Red, baby.
Not red hot. Just red not. Red not. That's what it is. So he need to change his. He need to be better so he can be Danny Green again. We're waiting for Danny Green to come out. We've been waiting for him since San Antonio.
You playing with James Harden. If he can't get off with Harden, this is like I always say, you can't get off with Luka. Like, can I trust you? If you can't hit an open shot with these guys, you're wide open. You're going to be. Just catch the ball and shoot it and make it. Danny, you get paid. What is he getting paid? $10 million a year to do this job. I'm not gonna bully Danny Green anymore in this podcast. I'm just gonna. That's my last statement. Anything else from you?
I have nothing else though.
All right. Well, again, if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, make sure to share this with your friends. And we always posting polls on there too. Comment on our polls. If this is on YouTube, like and subscribe. Out.
Hey, make sure y'all follow us on Twitter, on Instagram at M&R Show. We have a lot of hot takes, a lot of things. Ron says a lot of crazy things. So make sure y'all tune into his craziness. But we appreciate y'all's support, and y'all have a good one.
All right.